Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's the Anime Tree here, doing a little something different. It was gonna bring out my macho man. I love wrestling, so I have to do the review of Hulk Hogan, Real American. If you guys haven't heard about this movie, it is on Netflix. It's a documentary, which I absolutely love documentaries, about Hulk Hogan. About 3 months before he passed, he filmed this video for Netflix. Sounds like because they just got the license last year with wrestling, that they really wanted to like kind of push this. That it's like, hey, look, this is one of the biggest icons ever. And as a fan, I love Macho Man especially, but I loved, Dwayne Johnson, Roman Reigns, awesome. Kyrie Sane, these wrestlers I like. So I had to talk about this documentary, and it's actually good. Well, kind of. So this happened, like I said, about 3 months before his unfortunate passing. I believe he had a neck surgery. It went wrong, or there's complications, and he passed. With his age group, probably makes sense. But they decided to do this very, very interesting documentary where they film it in 4 parts. There is, it was his beginning, so before he became like a WWE wrestler. WrestleMania 3 is about when they do episode 2. It was and talks about that kind of stuff. The episode 3 talks about like his TNA run, all the sorts of things like that. The last of the WWE run, Hogan Knows Best, and then the final one is on his current timeline. I know you probably see on my face, they skip over a lot of things. This movie's not good. Well, it's a 4-part series. So what are the problems? Well, if anyone doesn't know, there's not a whole lot to this. I had to clock it. It's about 23 minutes. So halfway through the second episode, I feel this thing falls off a cliff. And I'm saying this is probably the weirdest thing ever, but because they're like, oh, it's WrestleMania 3. How is this bad? Well, they talk about WrestleMania 3, then they talk about his brother passing. He obviously has an emotional moment, which, as a documentary crew, you cannot, demand answers. But I wish they would have said, hey, can we talk about this when you calm down? Or not calm down so much, but, calm yourself, because obviously you're having an issue. And they just never come back to it. And he goes, and then I went into Hulk Hogan mode, where I actually became Hulk Hogan. So you became a character after that. And then they never address that. They kind of just go with his life afterwards and go like, oh, well, I want to live that American dream. It's not good after that. I recommend the first episode. As you can tell, I recommend half the second episode. The rest of it's awful. They actually bring in Donald Trump, which, say what you want, I'm not a person, I personally don't like Trump's politics, but the documentary was not about him. They talk about the whole Trump, because one of the major events happened in Trump's, one of his buildings. He's like, oh, the big, beautiful building, or all this, and he makes it about him. Like, why did you bring in Trump if he's not talking about Hulk Hogan? And then with the controversies, he talks about, what's his name? Bret Hart. He talks about that situation where Bret Hart had the championship. They made Yokozuna. It was beat him, and then Hulk Hogan comes out and gets the championship somehow. It doesn't make any sense, but that's wrestling. So they talk about that. And they had this really great thing, and it's advertised everywhere. It was Bret Hart goes, oh, he backstabs. He might have been a good person, but at the end, he was a backstabber. Cool. Why not talk about that union busting portion of it? Why not ask him, hey, do you ever regret that? And even when he was asked kind of about it, he said, oh, I went up to Bret Hart, and it was, I thought I saw it. It said hello. Bret Hart says I didn't say hello. I must have been high on drugs or alcohol or something like that, but it wasn't intentional. That's a perfect time to lead into, okay, if it wasn't intentional, do you understand what your mindset was during that time? Instead, they're like, fine, he's good. With the tape controversy, they focused so hard on the tape itself and how Gawker got, like money off of him and how it felt like an invasion of privacy. What? Like, can we not talk about the fact that he said a racially charged word? And the way that he kind of brings it up, he's like, I said some things in the moment. What? Where? And this is where I think the documentary kind of falls flat. They never want to go into his legacy. I was worried about this because even though, like I said, don't like Hulk Hogan more, you can tell a good story about maybe this person. He's not perfect. He's a person. Instead, they did this whole thing about, well, he's still a legend. Like, they tried to, like, split the two up. It's like, this is Hulk Hogan, the wrestler, and this is Terry. I can never remember his last name. But yeah, these are two people. It's like, no, they are one and the same. You can tell a story about that. Nobody's saying that you can't. You can have the two characters kind of mix and say, like, hey, there was, like, a mental issue at that point when you become a celebrity. Another issue they don't talk about was, all the things afterwards. They bring up Hogan Knows Best. They go like, oh, these moments are like, they made my family feel like they were not less than, but like his son felt like he was just a Dennis the Menace character, they called him. Cool. Talk about that. I wanted to know about Hulk Hogan, the person. Oh, I guess it's Terry. I don't know. You get what I'm saying, though. They never dive deep into this, so it doesn't feel like it's even worth watching, especially the third and fourth episode. And the last episode's awful. Just even if you're into politics, which I'm not saying anything bad about politics so much, because, like, yes, I can disagree with a person, but I'd like to know who they are. They go into it, but they don't say anything. He's like, oh yeah, he's into real American. It's like, and they bring it up too. Another thing, they're like, oh, I was never into politics at the start. Again, you could have that shift to say, like, hey, I didn't feel that way as I got older and started seeing different things. Like, you know what I mean? There could have been so much you could have said. Instead, it felt like they were trying to rebrand his image. He was not real. He was still the character that you see on wrestling TV shows. But you didn't need that. We've had a million documentaries. I'm probably saying that wrong. Wow. We've had a million of these. They're normally overproduced. They kind of just repeat the same wrestling storyline. They don't really tell you that much. And the stuff that they do tell you, a lot of times they go like, hey, this is what I was trying to do. And you can see at the very first episode, they tried to do that with the new stuff. Even they go like, oh, I was green. And I didn't know how to wrestle. And this is how we got Hogan to look amazing. That's awesome. That kind of stuff is perfect. But as is, I cannot recommend this documentary. Maybe the first episode, but it's not worth it. It's not worth the Netflix subscription. It's not worth the real time you have to put into it. If you want to watch it all, it doesn't give you any real new information other than that first part. And it feels like they're trying to rebrand an image of a guy who, it was love him or hate him, he's a 80-year-old dude. You don't have to rebrand his image. He's no longer a wrestler. He was never going to be. Like, even Ric Flair. Ric Flair gets back in the ring all the time. Which I'm sorry, I'm not meaning to call Ric Flair out as a bad thing. I'm saying, like, he goes back in the ring every once in a while, but he is a legend wrestler. Nothing's going to change what people feel about Ric Flair at this point. The only people I could see is like somebody like it was if they did a documentary on Roman Reigns or like, LA Knight, somebody who's fresh. It was, and you're trying to see who they are as people. The older one that's been in wrestling a while that hasn't been on WWE a lot, Kevin Owens. If you did Kevin Owens' independent thing, I think that this would be a great documentary. Like this, right here is doing something like this, that would be great. Except for, the second half of this where they try to rebrand his image. Everything else, perfect. We should be doing more of these. But as is, I'd say this is a 2 out of 10. It's not good. It doesn't make me want to watch it anymore. I didn't feel like I really learned anything. And for the little bit that I felt like good about, it was immediately like washed away. And the fact is, and if you guys haven't watched it yet and want to watch, when they start talking about his brother passing away, it was after that it's complete. After that, it's like it really is downhill completely. It's not worth it anymore to watch any more of that. So yeah, like, favorite, subscribe. What do you guys think of the movie? Have you seen Hulk Hogan, Real American? How do you feel about it? Let me know in the comments.